we're really happy to have with us today Roy Robbins. Roy Robbins, one of the greatest climbers of the Yosemite era, the president, I guess, or owner of a very well-known clothing line, and a man who's actually climbed from the show we saw last night, wonderful presentation, all over the world. And I'm going to start by asking you about something that I may not have exactly correct, but I believe that you were a part of one of the first major rescues in Yosemite with Galen Roll on Half Dome, a winter. Is that correct?
It was October of
cold though, right?
it was well, that's why the chaps got in trouble, Galen and Warren Harding, because they were in the middle of the south face of Half Dome, and big storm came in. It rained before it started snowing. A lot of water ran down, totally soaked them, and then
they were about halfway up.
Yeah, about halfway up. Then it started snowing. The temperature dropped, and they got very, very cold. So we were helicoptered up to the top, and it was fairly routine. After we got up there, I went down on about a 500-foot or so length of rope, 600 feet, reached them, and with the rope they were able to ascend and reach safety on top of Half Dome. But that was great for us rescuers because it had a fantastic evening. You know, it was full moon, October, on top of Half Dome. The whole Sierra was blanketed with a foot of snow, and it was really something. Well,
it was something, I think, from Galen's description of it, not yours, which is very, very modest. Now, my memory of his description was that they were about halfway up.
Mm-hmm.
They were in some little thing, but not really an overhang,
right.
Soaked and very seriously threatened by hypothermia. And it was the first helicopter rescue, I believe. I think I'm correct in that. But just to go on, there was a helicopter, and Roy Robbins got on the line, on the rope, and came down in the night, moon or whatever, in the night, off of Half Dome, and came right to the exact spot of this huge face to where they were.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how we managed that.
And Galen said it was just absolutely blew their minds that you would rappel down. Now, my recollection again was it was more like 1,000 feet of rope.
It must have been. It must have been.
To exactly where they were and rescued them.
Yeah, somewhere between 600 and 1,000.
I must say that I've read about a lot of rescues and a lot of mountain accidents and things like that, but I don't think I've ever read of one that was more really intriguing and breathtaking than that one. Now, how was it that you came to be part of the Park Service rescue effort?
Well, back in those days, they didn't have a lot of rangers and a lot of climbers around who were that familiar with big walls. And I happened to be in Modesto at the time, and I got a call from Yosemite and said, "We got a problem up here, can you come up and help us out?" And I was, 2.5 hours away, so by comparison that was pretty close. And they had, let's see, I think Alan Steck was part of the group, and Kim Schmitz, I can remember Kim. And they got a few of us together who'd had that experience. They felt that we were the most likely to be able to do the right thing under the circumstances because of the experience, and then they took us up in 2 or 3 separate trips up there.
Where did you get into the helicopter in the valley, or
right in the meadow?
Right in the meadow,
yeah.
And just took you right up.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night.
No, it was actually daylight. It was late afternoon.
Late afternoon.
When we were flying around, we could see them, and I think that's probably how we probably got somebody above them and said, "Okay, they're right about there." Although I don't remember doing that. We must have.
Yeah.
But by the time we started down, it was well after dark.
I wish that everybody that might see this video would have the opportunity to have seen your presentation last night. But let me see if I can sort of just recapture a little bit. You Your parents were divorced. You were a young kid growing up in L.A. and got into some rather adventurous times.
Yeah.
And we were talking this morning about your little trapeze act of jumping from one train to another when the trains were going in different directions. When I watched that last night, I was curious. Why didn't you decide to be a Hollywood stuntman?
Well, I learned my lesson, I think. I wasn't very good at it.
It was a dumb thing to do. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But so then you started climbing, and at what point were you climbing in Yosemite on a fairly regular basis after the Boy Scouts or whatever?
Well, on a regular basis, not till 1960. That's when I kind of settled down there. We got real serious about it. I'd been in the Army, went in the Army in 1958. That was after we climbed Half Dome. And got out, then went back to work at the bank in Southern California, decided that wasn't for me, and moved to Berkeley, where I live with my friends there in a little place in Berkeley. And I worked part-time at a bank for 6 months, and then I decided that's it. And I went to, I spent months in Yosemite after that summer, and we did the second ascent of El Cap. And then I started working.
This was after Warren Harding did, or what was?
Yeah, he did the
first.
He did the first in 1958.
Who knows? Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so 2 years later we did the second.
Right.
Then I started working in a ski area at Sugar Bowl, California in the winter, and Liz joined me there. We got married, and we both worked as ski instructors for 4 years, and we saved our pennies and spent the rest of the year traveling in a Volkswagen bus, camping out, and doing nothing but climbing.
Roll, 12 years ago, 1983, my then business partner, Jim Hartz, who was a co-host to the Today Show with Barbara Walters back in the 70s, we were out in, we'd just gone into business together. We're out in Jackson, and Jim interviewed Chuck Pratt for an hour or so, which will be part of this collection.
Good.
Chuck, and the people loved, I think young people especially love to hear about those days, but you were really the outcast. You were, in those days as climbers in Yosemite, weren't you? Really kind of vagabonds and not very much liked by rangers or anybody else. Is that about it?
Well, it's close. We weren't exactly outcasts because we were never in, but we were certainly outside.
To be outcasts. Okay. Well, that's an interesting thought.
We were certainly outside, and frankly, we didn't care to be in. We mainly wanted to climb. We weren't trying to be different, frankly. We just wanted to climb, wanted the freedom to climb, and we were pretty different because of our passion and the fact that we didn't pay any attention to anybody else. We didn't seek attention, and we didn't pay attention. And of course, anything that got in the way between us and climbing was an annoyance. And sometimes the Park Service sometimes did that. Although on the whole, and especially as it developed, the relationships between climbers and the Park Service were pretty good.
Well, since you are one of what I think it was Outside Magazine the last couple of years on a story about the early climbing of Yosemite, called, referred to you all as demigods. People like to hear about this. Tell us about your equipment then, because it had to be very fundamental, didn't it?